The wind that we're experiencing right now is going to be the #1 issue we're dealing with. We're going to make this quick. If you have specific questions about specific addresses, we're going to either be able to answer them up here, or we'll give you the phone number that we've been giving out where you can call and leave information. Unfortunately, I'm going to start today's briefing by stating that unfortunately the fatality situation has increased from 3 yesterday to where we have 6 today, and there's a very fair possibility that within the hour we'll know that number has grown. I'm telling you right now that we're not closing roads just for our benefit or to waste your time. We're closing roads because of the public safety issues and the relocation, repopulation conversation we had yesterday. I'm not going to have it today, other than to say it's not going to happen because of the wind change. We have a weather expert here that's going to discuss the weather and what the expectations are, but I know emotions are running high, that people want to get to their house. I want them to get to their house. CAL FIRE has some very good plans for that. We're going to hopefully be able to work with some damage assessment teams to get some photographs of some addresses and meet with property owners so they can at least see a digital photograph, and we can get you as much information as possible. I want to give a shout out to PG&E and AT&T for getting cell service back into the Willits area. The 911 system in Willits, we believe, is going to, if it's not already up and running as we speak, hopefully within the hour it's up and running. The Laughlin radio repeater has been repaired by literally people working for 26 hours straight on a repeater, so we can get the generator running and we can get the phone service back up and running, and hopefully we're not going to have a third fire at that location like we've had 2 in the last 2 days. The federal partners, Congressman Huffman is checking in on a regular basis, and they're offering resources, but please remember, as I said yesterday, because the governor has declared 10 major fires in this state to be major incidents, as was discussed, this fire is number 3 of those 10, but that's good news. It means that the 6 fires below this, or 7 fires below this, the assets are being sent, as they're completed, they're being sent to Mendocino County to help us. You'll be told today about the number of air assets that are working, and this fire has been combined in the command structure with the Lake County fire. So when you hear of the air assets and the other assets being dedicated to this fire is actually 2 fires. It's the Lake County fire as well as our fire, the Redwood fire. As far as animals go, this is a big deal. We have 90 horses that have been evacuated. We have over 200 dogs and cats that have been evacuated. If you have lost an animal, please, the animal shelter is putting their pictures on Facebook. If you have put your animal in for safekeeping, we're not putting the picture on Facebook. We don't want anybody else to claim it. They should have your information. I know that Rainbow Ag is now offering an operation called Safer, that if you want to help with the animal shelter, or you want to help with the animal food, that you can go down and actually pay for food, and they will give it to the people who need it. I want to get started, and like I said, if you have specific questions at the end, we're going to answer them one by one. But the reason for this press conference is to give everybody as much information as possible so you know what we know exactly. So I'm going to ask CAL FIRE to come in. I'm sorry, our county CEO has a brief statement.
Hi, just want to let everyone know that all county offices remain open. We are here to provide services. We're continuing to do so. Additionally, there was a question about the Willits Library. The Willits Library is open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and there's Wi-Fi available. And the staff at the Willits Library will do everything they can to stay open 7 days a week with those hours, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Our shelters are open. We have room in our shelters. Yesterday we talked about N95 masks because of the air quality. We have ordered masks. We have 500 masks. We will give you the information as it comes forth as to where to go to get those masks. There have been questions that have come to our office about mail services in Redwood Valley. We will get that information and hopefully be able to share that with you tomorrow. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I was informed informed by the local post office that they have it at the office, and we just have to bring an ID and show it. So
They have it in Ukiah?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Kaufman. I'm a fire captain in Ventura County, California, and I'm also the PIO on Cal Fire Incident Management Team 4. The reason I tell you that is because our Cal Fire Incident Management teams are made up of firefighters from all over the state. And so those 50 people come together to manage a major fire like this. And so we could literally have a patch on that doesn't represent the local area. But I want to assure you that while we're here, we are your fire department. And we're going to continue to be here until we mitigate this fire. Because there are so many fires right now in the state of California, they've assigned each one of the incident management team multiple fires. And so we're actually managing multiple fires. That's why the sulfur fire and the redwood fire are both the fires that we're responsible for. So we're still 48 hours out of the time that the fire actually started. And one of our goals is we understand that you're hungry for information. We want to give you information, and that's why we're kind of here with a lot of us to share the information that we do have. And we'll continue to do that over the course of the next week or two until everybody feels like they have the most current, the most up-to-date information that we have. So I'm going to start off with our operations chief, and he's going to give you the most current status on both fires, the sulfur fire and the redwood fire.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Higgins. I'm Operations Section Chief for Incident Command Team 4. The sulfur fire off of Sulphur Bank Road on Highway 20 is approximately 1,500 acres. We're making very good progress on that fire. They've got it wrapped. They're currently mopping up all of the hot spots around the structures that burned. And as the resources become available off of that fire, we're going to reallocate them to the redwood fire. Okay. As far as the redwood fire,
That's wireless if you want to bring it up.
perfect. I can brief you guys off the map. I'll start right here in Division T. This is the Reeves Canyon area, back up all the way to the Golden Rule Trailer Home Park. We've got line all the way around this and currently just mopping this up. Up Highway 101 to Howard Forest Station, which is, the map's a little off here. Oh, excuse me, I'm on this is where I want to be. To Howard Forest Station. We're currently working across through the Willits Watershed and Pine Mountain, all the way down into Tomkai. This weather is actually very conducive for that end of the fire, and we're starting to make fairly decent progress. From the Pine Mountain area over to the east to Van Arsdale at the diversion of for the water and the power plant. We're still continuing to build control lines. Working our way back down and around into the Potter Valley, the west side of Potter Valley. We have crews continuing to mop up the structures and continuing to protect any structures that were not damaged or burned. And the damaged ones we're still protecting, but we're trying to mitigate any more structure loss and structure damage. Coming across the bottom between Potter Valley and Redwood Valley, we've got a direct control line on the fire, and we're continuing to improve that as we speak. And coming across through Redwood Valley, the north end of Red Valley is a mirror operation to the Potter Valley operation, and we're continuing to assess for hazards and mopping up and trying to limit any more damage to any more resource or structures and resources. And coming around back, it ties us right back into 101. So overall, we're making good progress on the incident. We're having issues with getting staffing. We're just a little short on staff is where we're at. Here.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Tonkin. I am the incident meteorologist assigned to this incident, and I'm out of the Eureka office. I can assure you that at this point, we are not looking at weather conditions that were observed Sunday night and Monday. We don't see those happening again in the foreseeable future. Those are what we call red flag warning conditions, when winds become very strong and relative humidity values become very low. However, we are identifying a couple of periods that are somewhat critical, and the first one is the one that's going right now, where we have these winds that are out of the north and northwest coming over the area, and they are fairly gusty. However, the RH levels are fairly high, so we're not in that red flag warning type scenario right now. These north and northwest winds are going to continue today and tonight and tomorrow, but again, the RH levels are not at a point where we look at critical values. Friday looks a little less wind, but then as we get into Saturday and Sunday, we're going to go back to that northeast wind again, which we had back on Sunday night and Monday. But again, the wind speeds don't look at those critically high levels. So that is another period that we're going to be looking out for in terms of kind of a critical point with the weather. And then after this weekend, it looks like the winds decline a bit. One more thing I want to add to those folks that live in the Ukiah Valley, know that this valley can get very windy each afternoon, either out of the northwest or sometimes out of the southwest. That does not mean the winds that you're seeing here are the same winds that are up on the fire. That's just a local effect that you guys see almost every afternoon, really, in the summertime. And so I just want to make sure that if it's really windy here, that doesn't necessarily mean it's really windy up there as well. Thank you.
My name is Tim Chavez. I am the Fire Behavior Analyst for Incident Management Team 4. What I do is I take the weather information that Jeff gives to the team, and I integrate it with some information about the fuels, the vegetation, and the topography in the area, and I make a prediction on what the fire will be like so that the operations folks can adjust their tactics and take into consideration the safety of the crews that are on the line. So that's my thing, is appropriate tactics and safety. What we have to think about on this fire, and one of the reasons it was so devastating and it still remains so challenging, is for normally in mid-October in the north coast of California, we're going downhill as far as fire danger goes. Every day the fire danger gets less and less and less until it gets so low that we get to the point where we lay off our seasonals and fire season is over, right? That's what we're used to for mid to late October. However, this year, something is going on. For the 16 days prior to the Sunday night firestorm, in this area, the relative humidity was never above 40% day and night for 16 days. Very unusual conditions, definitely not normal for this area. So what that did is that desiccated our fuels to the point where when the winds did arrive Sunday night, it was a perfect storm, and that's one of the reasons that the fire moved so fast, traveled about 4 miles the first 2 hours, and the reason it was so devastating as far as damage and injuries and fatalities, and that those conditions, except for the wind speed, really haven't changed. We're still in a very dry pattern for mid-October, so that means spot fires might be more likely. The fire might run uphill in places that we're not, anticipating it to. So this is still remains a very challenging fire, and I want to make sure everybody knows that we're going to do the best we can to mitigate those challenges given the resource situation that we're in. Thanks.
Good morning, or almost afternoon. I'm Ron Bravo, Deputy Incident Commander with CAL FIRE Team 4. So you've heard the weather updates, you've heard some of our challenges, and what I want to get across to you, and you know that we're number 3 in priority. So what that means for us is that we have to share some resources, specifically air assets. So when you see the large tankers, and we've asked for every available tanker there is that is built, which includes the 747, the DC-10, all those assets that we utilize, we have to share with those other incidents that are a higher priority. One benefit is some of those other incidents that are nearby. So we're getting access to a lot of aircraft. We have over 13 helicopters assigned to this incident, specifically between the two, both the Sulphur and the redwoods. So we're doing everything we can to get the resources that are available to us here to help all of you and help us be successful. Now, is it going to be challenging? Yes, and I've said that yesterday, and I'm saying it again today. We need to be patient and understand we're doing everything we can to get the fire in a situation where we can put you back in your home. And that's going to be a little bit of time. Today we had a wind change, similar to what we had 2 days ago. Not as strong, but that wind change creates issues on one end of the fire, but may benefit another. Just remember your friends, your families, your neighbors, your community members that may be south of here or north of here, any given moment may be in the same predicament of those that have lost their homes. So I just want you to remember this county, this community, it is very strong, but remember to reach out and help each other. We are working cooperatively with the Sheriff's Office to make sure that we coordinate any of those evacuations and those repopulations, and we're going to continue to do that. We understand you want to be back in your home, and we're going to work our best to get that done. Now, I've heard a couple of questions as it relates to being volunteers. There's a lot of, sometimes fighting fire seems like a simple process, but it's actually very complex. It's a dynamic environment, and we have to ensure the safety of our first responders, and that ensures us that we put them in an environment that they'll be successful. We can't send anybody into a fire and take the risk of getting them injured. Like I said before, life safety is number one and will always continue to be number one for us, and that life safety is for yourself and our first responders. So if you do want to volunteer, NCO, which is North Coast Opportunities, has opportunities for people to volunteer. The Red Cross has opportunities. And reach out to your neighbors. You know, a lot of us get into a pattern that we don't talk to all of our neighbors in our neighborhood. I ask if you know of an elderly person that may need some assistance and they're still at home and you can get out there and help them, please do so. We're a community, not only in Mendocino County, but in the state of California. So let's reach out to our neighbors. Let's help each other. Let's work together to get through this process. And thank you for your cooperations and patience.
Hello, my name is Judson Howe. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of Howard Memorial Hospital in Willows, California. I am pleased to report that the hospital has been able to maintain operations through the entirety of this incident. And we continue to be able to do so.
Come closer to the microphone, please.
Thank you. We continue to maintain operations through the entirety of this incident. We have ER services available today. We have through the entire incident. We also have all of our outpatient services back up and running. That includes our clinic at 3 Marcella Drive, adjacent to the hospital. That includes surgeries, and that includes our acute care services. We did receive a lot of support, not only from CAL FIRE, but from PG&E. They were able to restore gas to the hospital specifically. They were able to reallocate resources from across the state to do so for us. And we will continue to provide we are able to provide ourselves with the gasoline, or the gas that we need for the boilers and the operations of the hospital. This is inclusive of our electronic medical records and our internet connectivity, which is very important in healthcare today. That's what I have to report. Thank you very much.
And this is for the press, if somebody in this county has a relative who's in custody at the Mendocino County Jail, we're asking, and you know the results of your house. If it's safe, we'd like to know. If it's burnt down, we'd like to get this information to inmates. Inmates are certainly very restless right now, and we don't have the information to give them. So once again, the 24/7 information hotline, 707-467-6428, is information that you can call at any time to ask questions. We had 4 people staffing it yesterday. Today we have 9. We're doing everything we can to make sure that the phone is answered as quick as possible and your information. If you are a resident and you do not know the status of your house, call that number, and we are getting that information to the boots on the ground, hopefully to give you the news, good or bad. We want to get you the news as quick as possible. Is there anybody else that is ready to report? 707-467-6428. Yes, ma'am.
Tom, I just got here, so I don't know if you've announced it yet, but CAL FIRE has just set up a station at McCarty's in Redwood Valley for anybody who wants to donate food. For the people that are in Redwood Valley, evacuated or still in their homes, they'll transfer the food from McCarty's to the fire department in Redwood Valley, and they will disperse it out.
So what Nancy has said is CAL FIRE has set up a station. This is the first I've known about it, so I know you a long time, Nancy. I'll take you at your word.
I was just there, so I know it's true.
CAL FIRE has set up a station at McCartney's, which is also Little Baker's Market, where if you have food dropped off specifically for another family, that's where it can happen. I would caution you, please don't drop off food for the first responders. The food is being taken care of. And incidents have happened in the past that I don't want to dwell on. And so if you have food specifically for other family members, it sounds like there's a procedure taken. Yes, sir? Gabe?
CAL FIRE team's given us a good brief, and I'm just wondering if they can give us a snapshot of conditions on the valley floor, specifically around the east-west road loop and maybe the south Tonkai area.
Just the valley floor.
And I know you have to be very broad.
Okay, I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
I'm interested in conditions, maybe just a snapshot of the areas on the east and west road loop of the valley floor and maybe the lower Tonkai. You gave us the perimeter, but I think there's a lot of folks here that are wondering what's going on in that area.
Okay, and you're specifically referring to the Potter Valley side?
Redwood Valley.
Oh, Redwood Valley side, okay. So the north end of Redwood Valley, in the valley floor, was hit very hard. And so going north up Tonkai to the community of Cave Creek and Cave Creek, Scenic Road, the fire is very active in there right now. We're currently flying rotor wing on that specific area and working diligently to contain it in that area. So that kind of up the Tonkai corridor is that particular area. The fire's progressed to the north, and we're trying to stop it in that Cave Creek subdivision area. It's moved around since yesterday. Last night we do our infrared flights around 9 to 10 o'clock at night. So from 9 to 10 until now, the fire continues to progress and move. So we have a general idea of where it's all at. Our personnel are, we're working 24-hour shifts. And so our personnel, they come off when our other folks get on, and then we get more intel as the day goes on. As far as I'm aware, that up in that northern area of Cave Creek and that, we've lost no more structures than previous the last few days. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so just follow up, does the northwest wind cause any immediate threat to the valley floor?
To the valley floor itself, no. Okay, where we're working on currently is that piece between Potter Valley and Redwood Valley. That has potential to move in that area, so we're reallocating resources as the conditions change to our areas of concern or more. I got to be real careful how I say that because it's all a concern, but we have areas that have a potential, a little more potential. They're more active, so we're reallocating.
I think part of the question was, other than the north end of the valley floor, was the rest of the valley floor impacted?
Okay, no, the southern end of the valley floor is looking really, really good. The fire kind of cut east-west, and I flew it the other day. It's been years and years since I've been into Potter Valley. I was raised in Willits. Excuse me, Redwood Valley. It's been years since I've been up in that area, so I don't have definitions of streets like I used to, but the fire cut a pretty significant straight line swath from east to west, and there's the pretty good delineated line. The southern portion, I would say the southern half of the valley floor was untouched. Okay, about midline of the valley. I'm sorry, I just haven't been in that area so long, and I've been flying the perimeter and working the outside edges.
It's about Rodi, south of Rodi.
Is there any possibility of it reigniting?
There's always a possibility. The probability is fairly low.
Okay.
Okay.
How can we get to the margin?
You can't. You can't.
You can't right now. If it is
Baker's is open. Redwood Valley store you cannot get.
Baker's is open, Redwood Valley is closed. Okay.
So I have a question for you. I live on Yuba Drive. I have a lot of people texting me and asking me this question. I've been told that you don't, the fires aren't worked on at 7:15 at night until the morning because of the dark.
That is incorrect.
Are they working on the fire during the dark, please?
That is incorrect.
Thank you.
We have those fire staff 24/7. Okay, the question was asked, are we not fighting, not addressing the fire or fighting the fire after 7 p.m. at night until daylight? That is not the case. CAL FIRE, we are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We will stay there until this is mitigated. At that, we work a 24-hour cycle.
Can you talk about the control line you have, your yellow line on your map?
Okay, that is our those are our objectives. When we develop these plans, we have to set an objective. So we basically call it a box. We delineate line to the north, we delineate line from the north to the south, and from the east to the west, and then from the south to the north. We basically encompass the fire area with a box. And those are our objectives. So we say, okay, we're going to do everything we can to keep it south of this line, east of this line, north of this line, west of this line. That is for us for discussion. It doesn't really affect. I'm trying to figure out how to word this so I don't step in a trap here. It's a planning tool. It's a planning tool for us. Thank you.
What about Bible Camp in Fire Valley?
I believe Bible Camp is still intact. It's closed. I know that we had resources moving into that area today. Okay?
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
So, in Ellen Lynn, we've been told since Monday it's never been threatened. Is there any time at all you're going to give us that we may be able to go back in there?
Okay, what specific area?
Ellen Lynn, right next to Eagle Creek School.
West Road.
Okay.
West Road.
So we had a report, or we had a large meeting this morning about repopulating specifically the West Road area. And the conversation is looking very, very good. We're honestly looking for the wind right now to see what's going to happen by 3. I'm hoping that if your cell phone is registered to the reverse 911, that you're going to be getting news hopefully today because there's a road blockage. But let me tell you about road blockages. We've already made 2 arrests of people literally trying to run over deputy sheriffs and CHP officers. I can understand frustration, but we're not keeping you out for any other reason except for the safety. The schools are closed. Ukiah schools are closed through the weekend. I'm sorry, Ukiah schools are closed throughout the week, and Mendocino Community College is closed through the week. I can't speak for Ukiah, except for today, but we're working to get Ellen Glen repopulated. I can't argue, I'm just telling you the truth. Yes, ma'am.
And how do we get on this list to get escorted to your home from the sheriff?
At this point, there's no list, as I said.
No, there were people escorted in last night to get things from their home.
There was.
There's a statement released after 4 o'clock here that said if you called the sheriff, you could get an escort. I never got that statement.
Okay, the statement was we are doing everything we can to try to get people in, and we are limited on resources. So after this, how about after this, come and talk to me, okay? I'll do what I can. I can't promise you. Yes, ma'am.
Can we make it clear that only under an emergency to get in there? If you need medication or there's something, it's not everybody's going to be able to get in there. Just realize that we don't have, and the sheriff doesn't have the people to be able to escort everyone into their house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
I live on Schaefer Ranch at the top. On Monday, my landlord informed me that we had a reverse 911, but since then I haven't gotten any information. I can't register my cell phone because there's no phone service in Willits.
Well, there is cell phone service now. Absolutely. It was reconnected last night.
What's the potential of the fire taking off to Schaefer?
I'm sorry. So as I'm not going to speak about fire behavior that was spoken earlier, no one's going to say it's not going to head there, but I don't think that the likelihood, especially with the south wind, is heading, no one's expecting it to head north at this point. At this point, I'm going to clarify that. So, yes, sir?
For CAL FIRE, how accurate is your map on the website, your website?
So real quick, the website is usually behind like our operation map. This is the stuff we produce every morning and we update it throughout the day, and then we have it again for a planning cycle that we use in the afternoon to plan for the next day. So the website is not as up to date as our current stuff. That stuff is updated as of 6:30 this morning. So it actually gets posted before that, but it's early in the morning. So it's not as accurate as what you see here today.
I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry. Okay, so if you want to get on a reverse 911, please go to the Sheriff's Office webpage, MendocinoSheriff.com. There's an icon there to get here for emergency notification. It's called Everbridge, and it only takes 5 minutes to check in. I do want to let you know that Facebook has we've been in contact with Facebook, and local residents are allowed to check in that says you're safe. And if you do that, it sends a notice to all of your friends that says you're safe. And I'd really encourage you to do that, because we have literally thousands of phone calls from out of this area, from throughout the nation and throughout the world, wanting to know if their friends are safe. And we can't check on everybody, so please help us by telling your friends and family that you're safe. Yes, ma'am.
Do you anticipate a staggered re-entry to different areas of the perimeter?
So the question is, do we anticipate a staggered entry once it happens? Well, of course, because we're going to use our resources to the safest area first and then go down. So it's not going to be from north to south. It's just going to be, however, when we work with CAL FIRE, the areas that we've designated. Yeah.
That will include the power, gas is back on.
I want to talk about gas and power. So PG&E is here. PG&E is certainly, with the gas lines, are a concern, because when you shut off the gas, it's easy to shut it off, but when you turn it on, you have to go and make sure that each house the pilot lights are lit. PG&E, as of today and tomorrow, will have 100 people in Mendocino County to start working on the gas lines. If you want to turn off your gas line, that's fine. PG&E is still going to check to make sure that each individual connection is turned off. And as it is repopulated, yes, the PG&E goal is to help you relight and to make sure there's no more emergencies. Yes, ma'am.
Can I clarify?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to clarify that that's Redwood Valley north through Willits, not all of Mendocino County.
Right. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
So how do we arrange for 5 minutes to go in and get our medications?
So how do we arrange for 5 minutes to go in and get your medications? First of all, if your doctor's office is open, I hope that you've been in contact with the pharmacy to where you can get replacement medication right now. It all depends on where your medication is. And I would ask that you, call offline after this thing, come and talk to me. I can't promise you anything. I can just promise you that we can try to help as resources allow. But I hope you understand. Yes, sir.
Do you know anything about 2300 Meadow?
I'm not. If it's a specific address, we'll talk to you afterwards. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering why there isn't more help coming.
I can't hear anything you're saying. I'm sorry.
She said she's wondering why there isn't more help coming from Oregon or other places.
Okay, so Nevada, no more help coming. We'll let CAL FIRE address that.
In actuality, we are getting help from surrounding states. Yesterday, we got in significant resources from Nevada. We have stuff from Oregon that is filled in on some of our units that sent all their equipment to this incident. So we are getting help from throughout the surrounding states as well as nationally. The U.S. Forest Service has pushed resources to our state to help deal with the emergencies. So, and with that, when it comes to resources, we've also activated the National Guard, so we get some of their assets, which includes air assets. So we are getting help. And the other thing is, California has one of the most efficient mutual aid systems in the country. And like many of you know, many of your friends and neighbors are volunteer firefighters, and they're here helping us. And we couldn't be successful unless we relied on all our cooperating agencies, both fire, law enforcement, and county government as well. So we are tapping every resource that's available to us to come.
When are they all coming?
Well, like I said, some are here now. You're dealing with travel time. You're dealing with other competing resources or incidents. So one of the things, like we said before, we're third in line, but that's a lot better than being fourth and fifth. And we're doing our best to get. I said we are utilizing the California National Guard.
Yes, sir.
With the wind coming from the north, is there any consideration given to the fact of the possibility of the fire coming west of Highway 1 and south towards Ukiah?
Of 101?
South of the west side of Highway 101.
Right.
Okay, the west side of 101, the question was asked if there's a concern that the fire is going to progress to the south on the west side of 101. That was one of our first areas that we were able to secure. We're currently mopping that up. We've got resources in there working in that area specifically. There is always a chance that it could reignite, come across Reeves Canyon and move to the south. If those types of situations occur, we will do everything we can within our means to mitigate any new starts or any spread outside of our control lines.
Can I just get a quick snapshot of where Brook Trails in the city of Willits is at right now?
Brook Trails in the city of Willits proper, with the current winds we have, there's virtually no concern. If the wind changes, it's dynamic.
In Willits, we had a community meeting this morning at 10, and I appreciate you bringing up Brook Trails. And the Brook Trails fire chief was there, and he brought up a point which is incredibly important. We're fighting a fire right now, which is the biggest disaster our county has ever seen, other than the Jonestown massacre in 1978. We've lost 50 houses. We've lost 6 citizens. I totally expect tomorrow to tell you the number's going to go up. I have information to believe the number's going to go up. To believe that people are not practicing fire safety is something that is just a kick in the rear end for all of us. Please, you hear Smokey the Bear say it all the time, but I'm not Smokey the Bear. I'm the sheriff saying that public safety depends on people using their brains. Brook Trails is a very important part of our community, but the access is limited. And we hope that your neighbors are being safe. Whether it's not the time to barbecue, it's not the time to have an outside fire, it's a time to be responsible. Thank you. All right, we're gonna have 2 more questions and we have other things we have to go to. Yes, ma'am.
Is anybody investigating what that plane was doing flying around in Redwood Valley at 4 o'clock on the night the fire started and it dropped 3 bombs? One over by West Road and Talmadge and then a couple over by West Road. It was flying really low and had no lights. Is anybody checking that out?
This is the first I've heard of it. I haven't heard of that. I think that it's fair to say, and I'm not the firefighting side, I'm the law enforcement side, that we do have a witness that says they saw a tree fall over a power line in Potter Valley at the time that this fire started. So I'm not going to play any kind of conspiracy theory or terrorist theory.
It's not a terrorist, but it was a plane.
Okay, I haven't heard anything, but if anybody has specific information about a plane that was seen igniting the
No, it wasn't igniting. It dropped about 3 bombs, 2 at one time and 1 at
Okay, I know nothing. What?
Brett Benson, Deputy Chief, Mendocino Unit. We're currently conducting the investigation. Of course, it's we have to investigate all aspects of it. We'll investigate any reports that came across about the incident itself. So if there are any reports, they'll be investigated. Okay?
I was out past where Tonkai is the bridge around 12. I watched the valley itself start, and I noticed a couple firefighters on the side light. I don't know if you had
Okay, we had resources in the area as soon as the fire started. So as soon as we got the report.
Okay, I want to give a shout out to PG&E for something that I hadn't thought of. They're bringing in 100 people, and now they're bringing in trailers to house their people so they're not going to impact our motels. We have some responsible people in our community, and I certainly appreciate the utilities and the press that's reporting the facts and not rumors. Yesterday, we had a horrendous situation where a media outlet reported in mass a rumor that was heard on Facebook. Please, if you hear a rumor about an evacuation, an order, it will be followed up by a reverse 911 call to your registered cell phone confirming it. Do not believe everything you see on Facebook. I'm telling you it's not true. I don't want to say fake news because everybody else is saying it. I'm calling it rumors, and rumors can affect people's emotions. It gets them to drive crazy, and bad things happen. All right, I hadn't said this to CAL FIRE. I'm hoping for a 2 o'clock here tomorrow, if that works for CAL FIRE.
2 o'clock tomorrow, just the one?
Yeah, just one. So this will be here tomorrow at 2 o'clock, but now that Willits is back online, we're hopefully going to have only one in Willits and one in Ukiah, so we can get as much information out as possible. If you have a specific question about a location, you're welcome to come up. Thank you very much.